नमस्ते बेटियाओं, खुश रहिए। I JVN Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I am working here as an assistant professor in Vidyapeeth Women's University and Faculty of Education and Pathology. So today's session is your OSI model, isn't it? I will discuss regarding this all the topics. Okay, and just before this session, I have discussed with you the layered architecture, and OSI model is also based on the layered architecture, but here we will describe some functionality of each layers. Clear? So just to make it in an easy way to understand to all of you, I am just going to share the some file which will help you to easy understand. Clear? So here is that file. Yes, I hope it is visible to all of you. So, what is OSI model or OSI reference model? Clear. So, we are going to discuss this all. OSI is basically stands for the Open System Interconnection. This is a more reference model that describes how information from software application in one computer moves through the physical medium to software application in another computer. Okay, so OSI consists of 7 layers and each layer performs their own specific task or functions. Isn't it? OSI model is basically developed by the International Organization for Standardization (ISO) in 1984, and it was considered as an architectural model for the intercomputer communication. OSI model also divides the whole task into the smaller and manageable tasks. That layer is assigned a particular task. If the layer is contained, so that task is assigned to each layer can be confirmed independently. And what will be the characteristics of the OSI model? You can see here that there are two things: responsibility of the host and responsibility of the network in this layer architecture. Suppose there are 7 layer architecture in this one's OSI session model. So first is your physical, then data link layer, network layer, transport layer, station layer, presentation layer, and application layer. Now, if we talk about these all layers one by one, you can see here OSI model is divided into the 2 layers. One is the upper layer and next is the lower layer. The upper layer of OSI model mainly deals with the application related issues and they implemented only in the software. The application is closest to the end user also. Both the end user and the application layer interact with software application. Okay, so upper layer is also refers to the layer just below the another layer. So what will be the functions of the OSI layer? Okay, so there are 7 layers. Here is the physical layer. What is the function of the physical layer? It provides a physical medium through which beats are transmitted. What is the beats? Your whatever the data you are transferring, you are using for the transferring, that are converted into the digital format, and digital format supports the binary value, that is in the bit formats 0 and 1. Data link layer responsibilities. The it used for error free transfer of the data frames. Okay. Now, network layer responsibility for moving the packets from source to the destination, and transport layer provides the reliable message delivery from process to process, and station layer is used to establish and manage and terminate the session, and presentation layer is responsible for translation, compression, encryption, and application layer is provide the screens to the users also. So this is the basic responsibility of all the layers. Now we are just going to uh, describe the one by one all the layers. So physical layer, the main responsibility of the physical layer is to transmit the individual bit from one node to another node, and it is the lowest layer of the OSI model, and it also establishes, maintain and deactivates the physical connections what whenever they have required. It specifies the mechanical, electrical, and procedural network interface specification. If we talk about the functions of the physical layer, then we can say that the line configuration, why it defines it defines the way how two or more devices can be connected physically. And also the data transmission, it defines the data transmission, whether it is simplex and half duplex or full duplex. More topology, whatever the network devices are arranged whatever the network devices are arranged. Signal, it determines the type of the signal used for the transmitting of information. Now, if we talk about the data link layer, then we can say that the data link layer is basically responsible for the error-free data and data frames. It also defines the format of the data on the network. It provides a reliable and efficient communication between two or more devices, and it also the responsibility for unique identification of each address that resides on the local network. And now if we talk about the responsibility of this data link layer, then we can say that the logical link control and the media access control layer, two layers are also considered under this data link layer. So what logical link layer control layer is, what it responsible for the transferring of the data packets to the network layer of the receiver is receiving. It defines the address of the network protocol from the header. It also provides the flow control. If we talk about the media access control, a media access control is link between logical link. Media access control layer is a link between the logical link control layer and network physical layer. It is used for transferring the data packets over the network. If we talk about the functions of the data link layer, then we can say that it is basically designing the framing for the data packets. You can see here, this is the frame header files, whatever the data or packets are used here, and here is the trailer. Now, if we talk about the physical address, so the physical data link layer address a header to the frame that contains the destination address also. Flow control, it also the control main functionality of data link layer. It is techniques through which the constant data rate is maintained both the sides both the sides, so that no data get corrupted, isn't it? So the flow control is important in the data link layer. And if we talk about the error control, whenever the flow of control is get to be managed, so that there is no any chance to be generated error in that data packets. And if there is any error generated in that, then we are using the multiple error detection and correction techniques like the CRC, which is the most important. They calculate the value by using the CRC displays to the data link layer. Now, what is the access layer? Access control. When two or more devices are connected to the same communication channel, then the data link layer protocols are used to determine which device has control over the link at a given time. If we talk about the network layer, so what is the this is the third layer of the data link. This is the third layer of your OSI model, in which device addressing tracks the location of device on the network, also determines the best path to move data from source to the destination, which takes the minimum cost, isn't it? The data link layer is possible for routing and forwarding the data packets. Router are the three devices. They are specified in the physical layer of the routing services with an entire network, and the protocol is used to route either through the long or the short route, but we are choosing the short route because choosing the short route to delivering the data packet to the destination is very clear, and clear in the sense like they are using the very less cost and less time the data packet successfully reach over to the destinations. Functions will be what it supports the internet working, also supports the addressing and the routing and packetizing. A network layer receives the packets from the upper layer and converts them into packets. This form is known as packetizing, and it is achieved by the internet protocols. If we talk about the transport layer, then transport layer is the fourth layer of the data link layer, not data link layer, OSI difference model, and that in which the messages are transmitted in order which they are sent, and there is no duplicate of the data. Transport layer basically transmit the data to the upper layer which comes from the previous layer. But in this session what happens that there is no any sequence will be changed, data sequence will be changed. In what orders the sender has sent that data, the receivers will get that data in that particular orders, isn't it? So the layer can be treated as end-to-end layer, and it provides the point-to-point connections also between the source and destination of the data for reliably transfer of the data. Now, if we talk about the protocols which is used in this layer, then you can say that the TCP, transmission control protocol, and UDP, user datagram protocols. Transmission protocol, TCP is the connection oriented protocol, and UDP is connection less oriented protocol. When data is sent over the TCP connection, then TCP protocol divides that data into the model known as the segments, and each segments travel over the internet using the multiple routes as they arrive in the different orders, but the destination in different orders at the destination. The transmission control protocol records the packets in the correct order at the receiving end, isn't it? The data is transmitted via the segmentation of that data packets, and they are using the different route to travel to the destination. But whenever all the data segmented data packet is reached to the receiver side, then they all are making group together, and make the grouping of that segments is in the order of the particular data packets. If you talk about the UDP, UDP is the transport layer protocol. It is a connectionless oriented. It is a connectionless protocols. It is unreliable transport protocol, as in the carrier case receiver don't send any acknowledgement when the packet is received. The sender doesn't wait for any acknowledgement. Therefore, this make a protocol unreliable. If you talk about the functions of the transport layer, then you can say the service point addressing function, segmentation and reassembling is working here. Connection control is also worked here. You can say flow control is worked here. Error control is worked here. Now, if we talk about the session layer, it is the layer of the OSI model. The session layer is used to establish, maintain, and synchronize the interaction between communicating devices. The function will be the what? Dialogue control and synchronization. Dialogue control is session layer acts as dialogue controller, and that creates the dialogue between two or more processes, or we can say that it allows communication between two processes. Synchronization session layer adds more checkpoints where transmitting in the data in a sequence. If same error occurs in the middle of the transmissions of the data, then the transmission will take place again from the checkpoints also. Now, if we talk about the presentation layer, then the presentation layer is mainly used for the syntax and semantics of the information which is exchanged between the two systems or the client and server, and it acts as data translator for a network. If we talk about the functions of the presentation layer, then we can say that this is basically used for the translations, this is used for encryptions, and also used for the compressions, isn't it? So now last layer is known as the application layer. Application layer serves as window for user application process to access the network services. It also handles the issues such as network transparency, resource allocations. An application layer is not an application, but it performs the application layer function. The layer of provides the network service to the end user. Now, if we talk about the functions of the application layer, then we can easily say that the file transfer, access, and management is happening in the application layer. Allow because this allow the users to access the file in the remote computers, and to retrieve the file from the computers, and to manage file in the remote computers. Also, mail services and application layer protocol provides the facility of Gmail forwarding store, directory service. Directory services, just like what an application provide the distributed distributed database sources and is used to provide the global information about the various objects. So this is all about your the station OSI models. And if you guys have any problem in this station, then please let me know your query by using the comment section box, and put your all the query regarding this session and the previous session. I will solve in the next session with you. And please read this topic from the multiple sources, reference book, and also the open source access websites. Okay. And please do many possible questions which may arise through these ones. Define the 7 layers responsibility, then only write the responsibilities of the 7 layer in the concise points. And if you talk about the write the functions of the data link layer, network layer, then you have to write only the functions of the these layers. Okay, thank you.